Hey, what's up guys? Joker here, and I hope you're all having a good Memorial Day weekend if you do happen to be from the Americas. That's right, the Americas, it's plural now. I've decided that. It's my decision personally. So yeah, we're going to get into a few news topics today in the world of PC gaming and computer hardware. That's right. First up, we have a leak concerning Ryzen 3000 series, or Zen 2. However you want to refer to it. Zen 2 is a little easier. We'll do that moving forward, shall we? So we got a leaked benchmark from that, which is actually really damn impressive, especially at the price point we're talking about. And we've also got some new information about the new Call of Duty game, which is kind of funny, honestly. And also, Heavy Rain, the demo, has been pulled from the Epic Store, at least temporarily. We're going to get into all of that. But first, today's video is brought to you by LevelGo.com, where you could save money on games for all of your favorite platforms, as well as software like Windows 10 Pro for under $16, Microsoft Office 2019 Professional Plus for $80, and Microsoft Office 2016 for under $40. And if you use my links down in the description below, you can save an additional 21% off of Windows 10 Pro with the code KTL21 at checkout, and you can get 16% off the entire website with the code KTL16 with the links down in the description below. So first up, let's talk about Zen 2. We've had so many leaks about this. We had leaks coming in late 2018 from Adored TV. We also had another leak recently from Adored TV. And now, thanks to a benchmark which has surfaced on the Geekbench database, things are actually looking to be pretty accurate coming from his standpoint. So if one thing is true, I mean, you would have to think most of these things are probably true. And as we get closer and closer to Computex, which is pretty much starting like on, I think, Monday or Tuesday, most of my colleagues are already pretty much there. I'm not going because, well, that flight is awful, and I could pretty much cover it from here at home. And if I really want dumplings that bad, I could just order up a bunch of Chinese. So this leaked benchmark, as I said, showed up on the Geekbench database, and it is concerning the Ryzen 3 3300. So that would be a very low-end SKU. However, the performance that it is putting out is absolutely insane, especially when you consider, if we go over to the WCCF table, which was using information from the Adored TV leak, you can see that this is the lowest end SKU on here, the Ryzen 3 3300, 6-core 12-threaded part, which has a base clock of 3.2 gigahertz, remember that, and a boost clock of 4 gigahertz. This is a 50-watt TDP part, and it is only $99. That's right, a 6-core 12-threaded part for $100, which you might think sounds absolutely crazy. But when you look at the core count and the rest of the stack and the previous generations, it totally makes sense. I mean, previously they had quad cores for $100, and now if they're bumping things up to 12 cores on Ryzen 7 and then introducing 16 cores on Ryzen 9, it would make sense for Ryzen 3 to be a 6-core, 12-threaded part. So going back to this leak here, we can see we've got a bunch of information here besides just the single core and multi-core, which we have a comparison for in just a moment. You could see that the base frequency and boost clock is lining up from that original leak, showing the base frequency at 3.2 gigahertz and the maximum frequency at 4 gigahertz, which would tell us that this is very likely running at stock speeds right out of the box without an overclock. And we can also see that it is a 6-core, 12-threaded part from the new Ryzen family. So yeah, pretty darn good. We got all the information that we need. And as far as the score is concerned on Geekbench, and of course this is a synthetic benchmark, it's not going to tell us actual gaming performance, but it's still a good way to compare one CPU to another, and then we can kind of, glean some information from that moving ahead just in terms of how the actual processor is doing. So single core score got a score of 5,061, multi-core was 25,481. For basis of comparison, hardware compared it to their own numbers on the Ryzen 7 2700X, where their single core score was 4,815. And keep in mind, that is an 8-core, 16-threaded processor. That's not even the 6-core from the Ryzen 2000 series. That's the 8-core part, which still currently, at this point in time, retails for $280 over on Amazon. I just checked it before starting this video. So their 2700X got 4,815. Comparatively to this new 6-core part, it got 5,061. So it's a fair bit faster on the single-threaded performance, which I think we could expect. And then multi-core on the 2700X, they got 25,371, which is really close, but still, the new 6-core Ryzen 3 part actually got a higher multi-core score at 25,481. So we're probably seeing some benefits there in terms of the better IPC, the better single-core performance, making this now $99 part catch up to a $280 8-core 16-threaded part, which is just mind-blowing. So yeah, the performance on this for a $100 CPU is just out of this world. It's like almost even hard to believe, but based on all the other leaks that we've had, and this being on the actual Geekbench database, obviously with any leak or rumor, you should take it with a grain of salt, but this is really promising and just very exciting. Not necessarily I'm going to go out and buy one of these and use it in the system. I'm sure I'll definitely be testing it in a video, but more so for the fact that if this is true, that means that the rest of this lineup is probably true as well. And with that, as we talked about, there's a 12-core 24-threaded part that is going to be around $300 that is going to be boosting to 5 gigahertz, which will be just absolutely mental, and I don't think Intel will be able to compete with that at the consumer level. Of course, they've got their high-end X series parts that, can probably beat it, but those things are costing, 2, 3, 4 times as much as what this is. And then when you consider stuff like the Ryzen 9, which is rumored to have 16 cores, 32 threads, you can just imagine that that thing is going to be a multi-threaded beast of a processor, which I definitely would look forward to using. And if those come out to be true, I will be swapping out my 9900K for a Ryzen 9 CPU day one. No questions about it. I am ready to go for that upgrade here in 2019. But leave me your thoughts, as always, down in the comments below on the Ryzen 3 3300. I mean, can you imagine this thing for $100? The entry-level system that you could build with this, and how many options that would open for content creators, like new content creators that aren't making a living from it yet, but maybe want to start out doing stuff, whether it be for YouTube, Photoshop, or whatever. The amount of options and doors that can open for them without having to have an insane budget to spend on a CPU. It's really good stuff. So next up, we've got a rumor. Well, it's from Jason Schreier from Kotaku, who's a very reputable writer. He has a very good track record, so I'm pretty sure this is going to end up being accurate. But basically what it's saying is that the new Call of Duty for the year 2019, which I'm not really very excited about, but I'll be curious to at least see where this goes. He is saying that it is going to be a quote-unquote soft reboot for the Modern Warfare series, and it is simply going to be called Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which I absolutely hate. I abhor that naming because it just is confusing. I understand the reasoning, as he says in this, is that they're trying to, introduce this to a new generation of gamers, but it just makes it confusing. So when people say, "Oh, I'm playing Modern Warfare," I'm going to think they're probably playing COD 4 or even the remaster of COD 4, which came out a few years ago. But no, this is just going to be a completely new Modern Warfare series, but it does stick with the canon of the original game. So Jason Schreier actually tweeted this stuff out. He said, "I can confirm this is true and that it's hilarious," and I agree with him on that point. The first one was Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, so obviously the fourth one is called Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Video games are absurd. I 100% agree on that. It's so stupid. They do this with movies as well. Like when they reboot something, they just call it the same thing as the original, and then it's just confusing when you're trying to refer to it in conversation or a review or anything like that, or you're trying to find gameplay or video or something of it. You end up finding the original thing versus the new one, or the old stuff gets completely overwritten by the new thing, which is probably the more likely of the two. So it's just I just find it to be really irritating and confusing at the end of the day. And, as far as what they mean with this being a soft reboot, I guess, we'll just have to wait and see exactly what that means. Personally, the only thing I can hope for on this is that they actually do try to reboot this and revamp the gameplay style for more modern stuff and get away from what they have been doing, because I have not been interested in a Call of Duty game for a many numbers of years. Even World War II, when that came out, I was curious to try it, but when it came out, I was like, it's just another COD game. So I would like to see a complete revamp of the gameplay, mechanics, things along those lines, and how the games actually play and work. So that's really what I'm hoping to see. Otherwise, I probably won't be interested in picking this game up at all. Next up, we've got to talk about Heavy Rain, which, in case you aren't aware, this was a Sony exclusive to the PS3, and they've also got a couple of other games from the same developer, Quantic Dream, I should say, coming to the PC to the Epic Game Store only. Now, I did have a chance to play this demo over the weekend. Right now, it's just a demo. It is coming out pretty soon, but right now the demo is available if you want to download it on the Epic Game Store. It's actually back on there, but they did have to temporarily pull it down from the Epic Game Store because of bugs using Denuvo anti-tamper tech, which did not allow people to actually play the game after they finished downloading it. And I actually did encounter this issue, but my friend told me how to fix it. Basically, you just had to reboot the Epic Store. So what would happen is you would download the game, and then it wouldn't actually allow you to launch it. It was locked. So if you close down the Epic Store and then opened it again, you would be able to play it. So Quantic Dream ended up having to pull the game down so that they could work on it with the Epic Store and fix the Denuvo anti-tamper tech, which was also completely unnecessary, by the way. And now they've got it working, I guess, after a day. But this just goes to show you how unready for prime time the Epic Game Store is and how much of a piece of shit Denuvo anti-tamper tech is. If you could take two of the worst things in PC gaming right now and combine them into one, it is those. The Epic Game Store and Denuvo anti-tamper tech, a marriage made in hell. So, yeah, just another thing broken because of Denuvo and the Epic Game Store. But as I said, I did get a chance to try out the demo on the PC. It is locked at 60 frames per second, but it was running at a locked 60 for me and barely even tickling my 2080 Ti, running the game at 4K on max settings. And I will also say that the mouse and keyboard controls are absolutely horrendous, particularly the mouse controls, because this game is pretty much a interactive movie, so there's a lot of quick time events and things that require accurate mouse movements, and if you are not perfectly precise, it will completely throw it off. So it's just, having played this game on the PlayStation 3, I can tell you that it is a lot more forgiving for when you are using a controller, and the movement controls as well as the quick time events lends itself a lot better to a controller. So if you are interested in Heavy Rain at all, definitely try out the demo first if you're not too sure if you're going to like the gameplay. It should give you a good idea, as it gives you a pretty decent glimpse into what the actual game is like. And also you can decide for yourself whether or not you think the mouse and keyboard controls are up to snuff, which I do not think they are. They're awful. So I would recommend anyone that's going to pick this game up or try the demo out, use a controller for it. Otherwise you might find yourself struggling through some really simple tasks in the game, or messing up some really parts that are actually very serious, because as these games, well, the way these games work is you can actually lose main characters. Like if you mess up a certain quick time event or make a wrong decision, making a certain decision is not going to really matter with mouse and keyboard controls, but there's some fast-paced quick time events that you have to do at times, and if you mess them up, you can kill off a main character completely and you will not see them again unless you play the game through again from the start. So because of that and how invested you can get in the story and the characters of it, I would say, just like I said, play with a controller. The mouse controls in particular are just absolutely awful. I don't have an issue so much with the keyboard, but the mouse is not the way to go for playing a game like Heavy Rain, and probably the other titles that are coming as well, like Detroit Become Human. But I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and if you are from America, happy Memorial Day tomorrow. Hope you guys have good barbecues and good times and memories and all that good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and enjoy the rest of my weekend. I will see you guys on probably Tuesday for another video. Ta-ra.